Oh, hello. Now you're hearing me? Yeah, I just had the actual headphone muted. Okay, thank you, Dan, for thank you, Erin and Aiden. Thank you. That's very nice from your part. Yeah, I just discovered that I have this little point for activating the sound. So I actually wasn't I didn't have it activated. Like this little button. So thanks very much. So yeah, I was asking for your forgiveness since I'm a bit sick, but I'll do my best to be able to cover everything during this hour. And well, first of all, feel welcome to our Eventtia webinars. You already discovered the chat function, so please write anything that you want if they're on the chat. Thank you very much. And we also have a Q&A session. You can either make your questions through the Q&A session or through the chat. Mm, on the Q&A, I am the only one who's going to see it. On the chat, everybody will see it, but both of them are quite good, and I will answer any question that you have. So, being that said, let's get started. So today we're going to make the webinar of how to create an event in 30 minutes, which is our free training. My name is Santiago Castillo, and I am the Customer Success Manager of Eventtia. And we're going to see four different sections. First of all, we're going to have the intro and a webinar structure. Then we're going to get into the attendee types and registration. Then we're going to set up a program, an event website, and we're going to see the actual attendees view. And we're going to end up with some minutes for questions on the Q&A part, and we're going to conclude. Sorry for that. So, so let's get started. I'm going to start with some polls. So I'm going to launch them here, and you can start answering some stuff here. I see Aiden raised a hand. Maybe you were just making some tests, but if you have any question, please let me know. So, so I now launched the first of the polls, which is, how did you hear about the Eventtia webinars? Did you hear by an email, by a work colleague, by the Eventtia team, by the Eventtia website, or through social media of Eventtia? I would like to know that first to get started. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. My second question for you guys is what type of events do you make? Do you make corporate, networking, academic, commercial events, or any other type of events? You can answer me that right away on the poll. Okay, that's good. I have some answers here. That's very good. Okay, we have here some people from corporate events and networking events. That's very good. We're going to make an example of an academic event, but it's basically the same for all of them. Have you used another event management software before, like Eventtia? Okay, most of you haven't. That's good. You're going to learn how do you use it. Okay, that's very good. Thank you for answering the polls, and I'll make you some polls later on. So let's get started into the actual business, which is how to create an event in 30 minutes. So we're gonna come here to our Eventtia home website, which is a new website that we have. If you haven't signed up yet, you can do it in order to create your credentials. So the username and the password, that would be very good. So you can do that right away. And um, and then as for the login, you can click here and do the login for your event. Okay. So, or for your account. So we're going to come here to our webinars at eventia.com account, which in your case would be some other type of account. And we're gonna create a new event. We're gonna start from scratch, okay? So from zero. We're gonna say new here. This is a new event. And we're going to put some information for that event. So we're going to say that this is an academic event. I'm going to name it Academic Event 6, as I have other academic events. We're gonna say that it's going to start on the 20th of September from 9 a.m. until the 21st at 5 p.m. We can determine the country of where the event is going to be made. In this case, I'm gonna say it's in the U.S. in New York and the city of New York. So N. All right, and then I can put an address here, and I can say this is going to be on the Rockefeller Center. Your events, try to make them there. We can put a logo here. So for our logo, I can come here to my desktop where I have my information. But of course, it depends on where do you have it. You can open it up. So my logo is this one, and I can put a banner as well. I can select my language and give a name, academic event. Okay, so this will be 7. So Academic Event 7 will be the name of my event website. Here I can search for some locations, okay? And I can put a description such as the academic event is a space for learning, something like that. I can put my budget. I can enter some keywords like New York academic event, etc. I can put the sender's name and the sender's email and leave it active and save. So once I save, I will have created an event, and I will be able to make the other setups. But this is the main part in which you will be able to get to the event, and in which you will be able to create the basis of one event, so you can then go ahead and set up everything else. Okay, so now we have created, and as you can see here, there's a dashboard where you will see the registered attendees, ticket sales, stand sales, schedule meetings, website visits, etc., etc. So here you can track everything down. And now we are going to okay, that right before we get to the registration types, if you click here on edit, you can come back to the general info, so you can change anything that you want. And in settings, you will be able to set up all the systems and measurements, characteristics of your event. So the measurements in the type format. You can put some Google Analytics tracking codes. You can put your currency, VAT, and you can determine your payment platform. In Eventtia, we have for PayU, PayPal, cash flows, and Stripe. Normally, our clients use either Stripe or PayPal, but nevertheless, we have the other options. So here on registration types, on participants, I will be able to open this app and edit it. And once I click here to edit, I will be able to give the name to my attendees, so depending on the attendee type. So in this case, this is undergraduate students. I can select if there's a price and attendee limits, some workshops, like if there's a minimum or maximum of selected workshops, and the description of the attendee type. Um, and I have some other options here. Only allow guest registration, which is quite useful for VIPs, for instance. Allow public registration, which is the most common, and it's going to make the registration appear on the website. Allow participants to edit their registration data. That's also quite common. Require validation after registration, which means that after you receive the um, registering of your attendees, you will be able to accept or decline their application, and you can also block change that induce reimbursements. So if you save here, you can now come here to the registration form and start setting up your registration form. If you want to take a space off, for instance, you can click here, edit, and you just say it's not going to be displayed and you're going to take it off. Okay. So I'm going to take off invoicing information. I'm going to take off company as well because it's an academic event. I'm going to take off job title as well because it's an academic event, and I can save all of this and they won't appear in the event. And I can move this if I want to have some spaces before the others. But I can also create new forms, new spaces. So I can create some text field, text area, drop down lists, multiple selections, images, plain text. I can also ask for date and times, which is quite useful for hotels, for example, the city, and I can also have the file space. So we're gonna start making a drop down list. Here we're gonna say university. We're gonna just name some big Ivy League universities. So I'm going to say university can be Harvard, MIT, Stanford, or Berkeley. I can require it when registering, which makes it mandatory to fill it up when registering, or leave it basically optional. And I can click here and say it will appear here on the end, so I can put this here up. So I have here first name, last name, email, university, city, and then I hide the other ones. Okay, and I can create some more. So for instance, here, let's say that I want to put an ID, and I can put it as a text field, but this will have 10 maximum characters allowed because an ID has those characters. It only allows numbers, and this cannot repeat because um, each ID is different from the other. I can also require it when registering, and I can save, and voila, I have a new ID here. So that's how you create registration forms. Now let's get into badges. You have two types of badges in Eventtia. One is the DustJet badge, which is just using a normal printer in order to have your badge, your DustJet badge. And the other one is the thermal badge. So we'll start with the DustJet one. So the DustJet one, you have basically um, one sheet of paper divided into four spaces, um, which you can put as letter or A4 and as portrait or landscape, and you can put some text here. So, so as for the text, you can put, let's say, university, because we just created the university space. So you can put that tag here, and you can play with the sizes and with the letters and so on of these tags that you add here. Okay. So here I want to know the full name, QR code, and university of each one of the people that are attending to my event. So I can put it like this, and that's it. Once I'm done with that, I click on save. This appears quite plain in the system, but you can actually make really interesting stuff. For instance, this is an example that we have from one event where they have name, company, and QR code. But in the other parts of the sheet of paper, they have a map. They have very important information, and they have lots of images and designs. So that's quite cool. And then you can fold that into four and put it on a batch holder, and you'll have a quite good batch. And then as for the thermal ones, well, thermal ones also work with tags, but thermal ones are especially for this printer, which is the Dymo 450, which is a printer that is like this big. It's not very big. It's very, very portable, and you can print stickers on that. So basically, this is an example. I'm going to stop sharing here. So this is an example of what you can print. This is a sticker, as you can see. This is a sticker, and this is a pre-made carton badge. So you can just paste it on the badge, and that's it. You'll have a new badge. And this is through the thermal printer, which is the sticker that I printed here. In this sticker, I have full name, company, ID, and type of attendee. Okay, so those are the tags there. All right, and then if we click on messages, we will be able to set up the success registration message, which is just a message. It is not an email. So once I register and submit, I'll get a message on the same screen that says your registration has been successful. I can, of course, do also personalization of this here on this HTML. So I can say hi, first name, thank you for registering, for instance. So here, thank you for registering. Best. Okay. So this is the success registration message. And then as for the welcome email, that is actually an email that you will receive. So it's a bit different because you're actually going to receive it to your inbox, and you will have your event details as well, but also you'll have the QR code, the type of attendee, the email, the name, and the company. Okay. So that's good for that. And here I can put some other stuff. So I can say, for instance, I can copy the tag university. And I can come here and say, we are glad that university is coming to our event. Okay, so this is different from the first one because this is actually an email, and normally in the email is where I send the most important information and the most yeah, the most important one, which is, for instance, here I can send the networking login info if they are in networking. I can send the attendee registration summary. I can also send the workshop lists for each person. So that's quite good, quite interesting, and that helps a lot. I'm just going to put here the tag workshop lists. So I'm going to say here, please check your workshops, and I'm going to put that tag here, workshop list. So you can see it later when we do the other parts of the process. So that's it for the welcome email. And that's it for the registration types. So once you have created the registration type, what you can do is you can copy it to create another. So here, instead of undergraduate students, I'm going to say postgraduate students, and I'm going to save it. And I'll have basically same registration form, and I will have same badges and same messages, etc., etc. Okay, so that's it for the registration types. Let's get back into our presentation. Uh, So here, we already see how and why to configure multiple attendee types and how to create an effective registration form, generate attendee badges, and even create success registration messages and welcome emails. And that's been around 15 minutes actually. It's right now we have been 20 minutes here. So yeah, we're under time. And now we're going to see how to set up an event schedule with speakers, activities, points of interest, how to design an attractive website, and how the online registration works. So let's get into how to create a program. So if we come here to program speakers, we will be able to create speakers real quick. So I can put one of my speakers, or the speakers of my event is Mauricio Palacio, which is the CEO of Eventtia. I can put his email here, and I can put his biography. So Mauricio is the CEO of Eventtia. I can search for his image here as well. So Mauricio Palacio, for instance, and I'm just going to take his one of his image. Event, yeah. Oops. Mauricio Palacio Eventia. That's it. So I'm just going to take this image. I'm going to save this. I'm just going to save this on my desktop. Going to put it Mauricio. I'm going to save it. So I can put also that image. Okay. I can put his Twitter, LinkedIn accounts, etc., etc. So that's how you create a speaker. So now he's there on the speakers. And well, as you can see, it's quite easy. And then as for the activities, I will be able to create activities really quick as well. So I can say here, this is a conference on Eventtia, for instance. I can say that it's going to start at 4 p.m. and it's going to end at 5 p.m. on the 20th. So it's going to close the first date. I'm going to say that Maurice is the speaker. Let's say that we have up to 500 available seats and that this is in the conference room one. I can allow registration to this workshop, especially special registration for any of them. Let's say that it costs $10 for undergrad students to register, but zero for postgrad students. And I can put a description. So I can say Mauricio from Eventtia will be teaching us about born global startups, right? So I can click here save and there's a new activity. Now we have an activity. And I can also copy an activity to create another. But let's say that this is not conference on Eventia, but this is a conference on uh, startups that is also going to be given by Mauricio. But this one's going to be the next day at 2 p.m. So the next day would be 21st at 2 p.m. and it's going to last for 1 hour. So it's going to be up until 3 p.m. on the 21st. I can say it's the same place, the same location seats. I can also open this up to undergrad and postgrad students. I can offer ask for $5 for undergrad and zero for postgrad students. And this is Mauricio from Eventtia about the processes. He's gonna teach us about the processes of setting up a startup, for instance. So if you live there, you can save this and you are going to see that you have now two different conferences, two different activities, the conference on Eventia and the conference on startups. So that's how you set up speakers and activities in the program. Let's see the points of interest. So, for instance, if I want to add a new point of interest, I can clear a new, and I'm going to add, for instance, the metro station, right? So I can say here metro station, and I can put the specific information. So 4750, oops. So 4750 streets, Rockefeller Plaza, Rockefeller Center. So this is the metro station, and I'm going to that this is transportation, and I'm going to save this. So now I have one point of interest other than the place of the event, and let's put another one. So let's say I am interested now not only on that but on tourism. So I can put St. Patrick's Cathedral. So I can say this is St. Patrick's Cathedral. This is the biggest cathedral in the US. And I can say that this is a touristic spot. So if I save this, I'll come here to point of interest and I'll have two different spots, the metro station and St. Patrick's Cathedral. So that's it for the points of interest. And then if I come to website, I will be able to create my website right away. And this is where I say that Eventtia is magic because you're going to see how quick we can put this. So I'm just going to drag and drop the different modules that I'm interested in showing. So program, register, speakers, location, contact, countdown, a free module, etc., etc. And now you can put them in a specific order that you want. So let's say this is for the banner free, so it's up. Then we have hub, then we have speakers program. I normally put program, location, then I put counter register and contact. So this is a this is quite a logic way to set this up. And if you click on publish, that's going to publish right away. And you can republish it as many times as you want. I'm going to change the color here because I prefer this one. So that's it. And I'm going to add an image. This is how you add images in Eventtia. So you click here on edit in the free module. I'm just going to take off the free so it doesn't appear there. And I'm going to select here images and um, put an image. So which is my image? It's going to be my banner. So I'm going to send it to the server, right? Send it to the server. Okay, I'm going to select it back again. Okay, now it's in the server, and I'm going to put a width 1920, which is the normal width that the system supports. 1920. It's the best width for the responsiveness of the websites, and I'm going to save this. So now that I have saved this, I think we can publish back again and see how we're doing. So if we click here on the link, it's going to open it up for us, and it's going to show us, okay, academic event with all the banner, academic event 7. The academic event is a space for learning. So this is the description of the event and the name of the event. That's good. I'll have the logo of the event. I'll have the dates, the place, and the contact form. On speakers, I will be able to see the image of the speaker or speakers. I'll be able to see the position and the company, and I'm going to be able to see the description. Also, if I put Twitter or LinkedIn or email here, I will be able to contact them through any of those platforms. So here the description is Mauricio is the CEO of Eventtia, and it appears there well. So that's good. As for the speakers. For the program, if I open this up, I'm going to see the specific definition of the activities. So here, Mauricio from Eventia will be teaching us about born global startups on the conference on Eventia. And then the next day from 2 to 3, I have the conference on startups where Mauricio will be teaching us about the processes of setting up a startup. So as you can see here, it shows the activity, and down there it shows the description if I open it up, and I can see it on both days of the event. Okay, as for the maps, here I'll be able to check my main place of the event, which is in blue. One touristic spot, St. Patrick's Cathedral Tourism, the biggest cathedral in the US. And one important transportation sub, which is the metro station transportation. And the description is 4750 Street, Rockefeller Center. So here you will be able to see where the event is and what's going on, and which are the closest hotels or which are the closest restaurants. So this could be quite useful. In the countdown, I will be able to check the number of days, hours, minutes, and seconds that are left for my event to happen. This is next week, so I have 6 days and 20 hours in order to see it happen. And then I have the register and the contact form. So here we have just created a website with everything. And now the idea is to see, so what is the experience of my attendee? What does my attendee do, or how can he be able to register, etc., etc. So basically here you have the register button. Here you have one. Here you have like the plain register part. and you can select your ticket type or click here and register now if you're not sure. So here I'm going to say I'm from postgraduate students, and I'm going to put all my data. So it's basically what you're seeing here. Okay, I'm just going to leave this blank, and I'm going to register to these two events, and I'm going to click on next. So here, when I click on next, I will see my success registration message. Hello, Santiago, registration has been successful. Thank you for registering. And I'm going to receive in my email webinars Eventtia sent me an email. It says, hello, Santiago Castillo, your participation has been confirmed. I can save it on Google Calendar. It's going to tell me, hey, Santiago, we're glad that X university is coming to our event. See how I did this? I put the tag and then the university. So now I can see Harvard University is coming to our event. Please check your workshops. I can see my workshops here. Best regards. So this is quite useful if you want to see how does the the registration work and the user's view or point of view. So that's it for it. So we have seen how to create speakers, activities, and points of interests, how to design an attractive event website, and how the online registration works. We have seen all of that, and we have done one registration test. And so since I already registered, if you come here to attend this, you will be able to see the information of the person, you will be able to open it, you will be able to do several things like having his or her registration summary link, checking him in or out, welcome email link, they can resend the confirmation email, download the participant profile, registration forms, or print badges. Um, and here in payments, you will be able to put manual payments and check the send messages. You can also, so here I just downloaded a participant profile where I can see which is the event and the information of that person, which is quite useful. And I will be able to print as well the badges. So if I click here on print, I will be able to print badges. And as you can see here, I have my full name, the QR code, and the university tag. So, actually, once people are registering, you will be able to access to all of their information and do a good management of it through the registration attendees module. All right. So, I would like to know if you have any questions, because being that, we will get into the Q&A session. So, please feel free to ask any questions that you have, and I will be happy to answer them. You can ask the questions through the chat, or you can ask them through the Q&A. I'm gonna launch a poll here real quick while you make questions, which is, in your opinion, what is the percentage of time that an EMS can save you? And I will answer this question after the poll. Do you think that it's 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%? You can vote now. Okay, so we have some people voting for 50, 40, 10, 20. That's good. Actually, the answer is between 40 and 50%, because you will have a lot of percentages that that will be important in order to create your event. So 40 to 50% means that you're not going to be doing Excel spreadsheets in order to have your attendees, but you will have a system that makes management easier. Okay. Please post your questions if you have any. I will give you some minutes in order to do so. And I will be checking this real quick. Thank you, Aidan, for your answer. Aidan says he doesn't have any questions, but that it was quite helpful. Do you have questions? Somebody else? Okay, I've got one here on Q&A. So the question is, how do we send emails to our attendees? That's a very good question, and I'm going to show you how you do that. So here in attendees, well, of course, they're gonna receive the welcome email, which is going to appear all the time that they are registering. But it's just going to appear like it's going to appear in all the registration, but once, only once, because it's a welcome email. So if you have some other stuff to communicate to your attendees, if you need to send some emails or something, you can come here to registration communications, mass emails, and you will be able to select participants or guests, select your email account, select your attendee type for which you will send the communication. You can also filter by creating on workshops, payment status, check-in status, printed status. However, this is not mandatory. So if you just want to send it to all postgraduate students, you just need to click here and do it. Uh, but you can also, let's say, send an email to all postgraduate students who have not paid yet. So this is a reminder for payment or something like that. They can get quite useful, the different filters. So I can say here, I can also use the tags, which is quite good. So I can say here, hi, first name, uh, please see your workshop list, your workshop lists. Because, for instance, maybe you forgot to put that workshop list in the welcome email, but you still want them to see it. So you can say, this is your workshop list. Or maybe you want to send a reminder the day before the event so they have that like handy. So here what you would do is you would copy and paste the workshop list tab, and that's it. Best um, events team. So here it says, hi, first name, this is your workshop list, best event team. So if I click here and save, I will be able to see the message. If I send myself a test email, I will be able to see, I will be able to receive an email of how this will be seen. And by the way, that email will take the information of the first person. Here we only have one attendee, so it's going to take my information. So it's going to say, hi, here you see webinars Eventtia. Hi, Santiago, please see your workshop list. And then here it says, hi, Santiago, first name tag. This is your workshop list, and this is the tag. Um, well, this is actually the tag of workshop lists. So this is quite handy if you want to communicate anything important to your attendees. Oh, thank you, Isaiah. I see that you were saying that you're logged with Adam Link, but your name is Isaiah. Okay, thank you, Isaiah. Good that you don't have questions. Um, I already answered this one of communications. Now I'm answering the other ones. There's an anonymous attendee that asks, is there a limit number of attendees that can register to an event? So in Eventtia, we have different plans. We have some plans that have a limit of the number of attendees. So they have up to 100 attendees. You pay for up to 200 or 300, and we'll give you the access for that. But most of Eventia's plan um, actually are with an unlimited number of attendees. So actually, normally there will be an unlimited number of attendees that can register to an event, unless you buy a plan in which you have a specific number of attendees, like a maximum number of attendees that can register. So this is done. And now I'm going to answer live. Erin Foley asks, thank you, Erin. Can registrants be imported via a CSV file? Well, I recommend you to do it through an XLS file, but yeah, you can just convert CSV to XLS, and then you can import participants. I'm going to show you how to do that. So we come here to registration attendees, and here in actions, you can export to Excel, You can print badges and you can import attendees. So you can click here on import attendees and you select the attendee type. Let's say it's undergraduate or postgraduate students. And this is going to create a template that you can import. So if I download a template here, I will be able to check which is the template that I need in order to import. So for instance, I'm going to show you this template, how it looks. Let me check here. Okay, I'm going to show you how it looks. So I just click here to export, to load a template. Okay, let me check again. So now you're watching the template. So the template asks for the attendee name, first name, last name, email, ID, university, city, and telephone, which are the spaces that I left. If they are in a stronger uh, black font, it means that they're mandatory. If they're not, if they're like in a regular font, it means that they are not mandatory. And here, so this one is for postgraduate students. So I will have to put like the first, last name, email, ID, university of the person, and I will be able to import that. So I will just have to. Okay, I already closed that. So I will just have to click here on the download template. So I download the template and I organize all my information in the same columns as of the templates, and I choose file. So I choose the template and I select. I have received permission from the people to send the emails. So this is to comply with GDPR and other policies, privacy policies worldwide. You can determine if you can send them the welcome email right away. So you imported them, and if you say send welcome email, once they are imported, a welcome email will be automatically sent to them. The welcome email that you had beforehand configured in your attendee types. And if you have validation, you can also automatically validate all imported attendees. So this is how you can import the attendees, Erin. Is that clear for you? Please check if that's good for you, if that's what you need to know. You have to select first the attendee type, then download the template and organize your information in the same order as the template, and then you can select that template or that file, import it, and send welcome emails and validate participants if you want to do so. If you don't, you can just maybe don't send the welcome email, but send later some communications giving important information. That's good. Hey, do you have any further questions? Okay, so I have here another question that says, how do you use the check-in app? So I don't know how did you hear about the check-in app, but I'm very happy to show you. However, it's important to say that this has an additional price. It's normal $150 more for the app, but the check-in app is an app in which you can use your normal smartphone, or yeah, and a smartphone or the computer, and check in the people for your events. So if you click here and manage the check-in status of your attendees, you will be able to check the events that you have, and you will be able to check in the people to the events. I'm gonna log out here. I'm gonna come here as webinars. So this is a progressive app, which means that you can access it from computer or cell phone, both of them. So here, for instance, we have academic event 7. So this is going to appear the same in a cell phone. So if you want to read the QR code from our app, you can click here on the camera and read the QR code. But you can also click here on this check and check the person in. So I would say that if you're using a smartphone, it's easier to read it from the camera. But if you're on the PC, on the computer, it's easier just to search for the name and check the person in or out. And then in check-in status, you will be able to see who has been checked in. So I only have one person registered and he's checked in. So I have 100% of people checked in for this event who hasn't checked in yet. You can also put some checkpoints, which are if you want to register who's going to pass, let's say, by a cafe, or who's going to pass by the toilet or by this room or the other, you can put those checkpoints, which can register once or many times the people that pass through. And in activities, you will be able to also check in people for each specific activity. So for instance, I am registered to conference of Eventtia, so he's there. So Santiago is actually registered here, but he's not registered yet on the conference on Eventtia. Let's say he comes, I check him in. So now if I come here to conference on Eventtia, I will see that he actually came to that activity. But on the conference on startup, he hasn't been checked in. So this is quite useful because you will be able to see who has been checked in, who hasn't been checked in, and you will be able to have a filter there. Okay, I have another anonymous attendee question who says, can you associate attributes or metadata with the session locations or rooms, like microphones, capacity, video, etc.? So you don't have that option in Eventtia, like specifically to say that I will need microphones for this or that activity, but you do have it on the exhibitors module if you have exhibitors. So in the exhibitors, if you have exhibitors, you will be able to give some stand options, so they can determine the exhibitors whether they need a TV, whether they need a microphone, whether they need some chairs, etc., etc. And as for the program, there's no way to put that here unless you put it on the description, but the description is public. So basically, I think it's going to be useful to do that as a note, like to put a note on that. Um, on the activities, however, you have categories. Maybe you can use categories in order to categorize which are the elements. Categories are quite useful if you have many different activities that are not related to each other, but some are, so you can categorize them. And here on participants, you will be able to check who's participating on the activity, and you can export that to Excel to see how it goes. All right, do you have any further questions? I'll be happy to help you out with that to answer you. So somebody says here, can you explain the other modules? Yeah, so I basically don't go one by one through each module because it would take a lot of time, but I can give you a broad explanation of the modules. So the dashboard is, as I told you, the place where you can see how many people have registered, ticket sales, website visits, etc., etc. Um, Registration is, of course, to set up the attendee types, guests, and making the attendee management groups, coupons, etc. This is probably the most important module. The program, you can put speakers, activities, and categories, as I showed you. The networking module is for this is a pay an additional module which has to be paid, and this is for B2B matchmaking meetings where you have a system where you can ask meetings to others and others can ask meetings to you in order to make different agendas of meetings for the B2B matchmaking. The exhibitors module also has an extra cost, and the exhibitors module is a module in order to assign different stands inside different zones to your exhibitors, which will also appear in the website and so on. The financial module is to make invoices. So you can set up invoices here with tax and so on. You can enable them, and it will create an invoice every time somebody pays or every time somebody registers. Points of interest, you already know it. It's where you can put different points of interest for the maps on Google Maps. Surveys, this is also an additional module. This is in order to be able to make surveys such as satisfaction surveys or live polls in your events. Files is to share the different files with the other users in Eventtia. Also, tasks is a sharing module. Directories for mainly for exhibitors. Mass mailing is a module to send mass mails. So it's not the same as communications because communications is only for attendees. Mass mailing is for anybody, and users is to create different users and assign them functions. Website, of course, is the module to create the website and have a successful website. Mobile experience is a module where you can set up the app. The app also has an additional cost, but this basically takes all the information in the system, such as the program, registration, and so on, in order to make a progressive app that can be very useful. And finally, the reports part. This is included in everybody's account, and it is in order to be able to export important reports that might be very useful for your event. Sometimes you want to export stuff in Excel or to have some stuff of what's going on with the event. So this is the module where you can export the different reports on registration program and networking. And by the way, on registration attendees, you can of course also have the exporting of the different attendees with their attendee types and with all of their information. Aiden. Aiden is asking, could you please explain networking module in a more detailed way to see how B2B can be made? Sure, Aiden. So the networking module is a module in which you can create a networking space and you can put different profiles. So you can say, for instance, buyers and providers, and you can make them make meetings between them. Actually, I do not have all the time that I would like to have in order to explain you all of the register, all of the networking space, but there is a very, very good news, and it is that I'm going to show it to you here right now. We are going to have a B2B networking webinar very, very soon. It's going to come on the 26th of September, and actually it's going to, I have here the landing page. I'm going to show you the landing page link. So I also do the landing page for the webinars in Eventtia. So this is the landing page link. I'm going to show it to you via the chat. So you can open it up, take a look. The webinar is about networking. Um, this is the webinar structure. It's going to be hosted by myself. It's going to be in 12 days, and you can click here and register now and register to the B2B webinar registration. That B2B networking webinar is going to be fantastic. I'm going to send you also that link to register, and I highly recommend you to register so you can actually get all the information on the B2B. This is going to be very, very, very important for those who want to see the B2B functionalities of Eventtia. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, but basically the networking event, you can set up the general information, then you can set up the different attendee profiles, and the different attendee profiles will be able to make meetings with the others depending on what I want. So I can make buyers be able to request meetings to providers, but not vice versa, so they can accept it. And they'll have one special space where they will be able to do all this management of asking for meetings and requesting meetings and so on. Um, I don't know if you have further questions. If you don't, I'm gonna do the last two polls. So I'm going to launch them, and if you have questions, I'm going to answer those at like in a few minutes. So one of these polls is, how would you rate this webinar? We really care about your opinion on the webinars and what can be better. So of course we'll be happy to have your opinions. If you have anything specific to say, you can always contact me at santiago@eventtia.com, and I'll be able to answer you any questions, and receive your feedback. I love constructive feedback, so that would be great. Okay, that's it for the this poll. And then the last poll would be: would you recommend this webinar to a colleague? Yes, maybe or no. And if you would recommend it, please do recommend it. Our next webinar in English is in 2 weeks. Next week is in Spanish, and then in 2 weeks we're going to have the B2B webinar on Wednesday, and on Thursday at 10 a.m. in 2 weeks we're going to have our normal webinar. Okay, thank you very much for answering that last poll. And I'm going to close showing you this. If you click here from your account on the help desk, you will be able to search our knowledge base. You can search our knowledge base with keywords such as check. So you can use keywords in order to search for different articles. You can also see our knowledge base and search by categories. Um, Here you can find very, very useful articles that can help you with the use of Eventtia. For anyone who asks about networking, here in planning your networking events, we have a very, very cool PDF guide for planning your first B2B event. And actually, our webinar is going to be based on that PDF guide. So this is quite useful for networking. Here in Introduction to Eventtia, how to create your first event, you will be able to check a PDF of planning your first event with Eventtia, and also a tutorial of how to create an event in 30 minutes. So it's basically what I told you today, but without the interactiveness. And you will be watching this webinar recording here on webinars. It's going to say the webinar from September 13, how to create an event in 30 minutes. So if you want to come back to this webinar and see how did I answer certain questions, or see my processes, you can come here to webinars, and it's going to be posted there in a few hours. So that's going to be quite useful for you guys. The this help desk, and by the way, we also have our help email, which is help@eventtia.com. I'm going to put it also here in the chat so you can take all of these links for yourself. Help@eventtia.com. Help@eventtia.com is our support or customer support email, where you can send us any questions, where you can send us any requests. If you think that there's something not working, that there's a bug, you can send us that. Or if you have any special requests, or you want to acquire additional services or anything like that, you can also contact us through help@eventtia.com, and we are quite happy to help. We are quite happy to be able to give you a good support on that sense. So being that, I think that it is quite clear that is all for today. Thank you very much for attending to this webinar. I highly appreciate it. I am very sorry for my flu and for my sickness. I actually was thinking on not holding the webinar because I was not feeling very capable of, but I understand that you have researched with some time and that you are interested in knowing how Eventtia works. So that's why I made my efforts in order to be able to deliver you the best attention possible. And well, as you saw, I was capable of doing it. So thank you guys for your motivation, and I'll see you later. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in our next webinars from Eventtia, especially our B2B webinar, which you are very invited, and I recommend it. And I recommend you to go there. It's going to be very cool. So talk to you later. Bye bye, and have a nice day.